What's going on, guys? First of all, let's start off with what exactly I'm carrying today. That would be my full-size CQ-C8. I'm really enjoying this knife. I don't know why I didn't buy one sooner. If you saw my video, I sanded down these scales to make the texture a little bit less aggressive. If you're familiar with Emerson knives, you know that this G10, especially when it's new, can be pretty aggressive and it'll chew up your pants pockets. So I like that. I just actually sharpened this last night, and I'm gonna shoot a video on freehand sharpening as well. But anyway, I'm carrying that, and of course I'm carrying this Strider Z-Wear SNG. So if you know anything about me, you know this knife is I would argue this is my favorite knife. But anyway, what's this video about? I got tagged by Profesor EDC, that's Professor with one S, and he, I believe the tag title is The Knife That Defines You. So I'm pretty bad with tags. I'm gonna try to do this the way I understand the tag going, but I may mess it up, so bear with me. But I've got three knives here, and again, if you've watched some of my videos, I don't think that any of these knives would be a surprise. You know, I like my traditional knives, specifically GEC, specifically mid-size, single blade, not necessarily Barlows per se. And if you're not familiar with what a Barlow is, that's when these knives have this long extended bolster, and that was supposed to provide more lateral strength. They were a working man's knife. They used to be cheap, you know, in the nickel and dime store. Pick them up, you know, really cheap, and they were meant for working class type of guys. So that's what a Barlow knife is, and this happens to be a Barlow, even though it's a I believe this is like a 2017 knife. Nope, it's a knife from 2016, you can see there. But anyway, even though this is a much more up-to-date, fancy Barlow knife, it's not necessarily the Barlow style that I love. I really like this size of knife, and I like the single blade knives. And the fact that it's a Barlow doesn't hurt. You can see that it's got a pretty strong spring. I didn't want to close it on my finger, so I closed it with two hands. Next up, you know, I've also gone through, God, I couldn't even tell you how many 21 Sabenzas, small, large, left-handed, Tonto, Insingo, drop point, inlaid, plain, custom engraved, you know, just you name it. I've probably had a 21 Sabenza in that configuration at some point in time. So this knife here was a knife, it took me a long time to kind of get this knife, but I found myself constantly buying them over and over again. And when I say over and over again, to put a number to that, I'd say I've owned at least 15 21 Sabenzas in some shape, form, or fashion. So I literally mean I've owned a lot of 21 Sabenzas, but I kept coming back to them. So that's why this is on my list. This is actually one of my most carried work knives for a number of reasons. I really find that this blade shape here and the size of this knife lend itself well to day-to-day office tasks, and it's a size that in an office is not going to draw a lot of eyes. Also, just the simplicity of this knife. The engineering that went into this knife, if you all don't know, I'm sure most of you guys watching this video know that the Reeve integral lock, commonly known as the frame lock, was designed and first implemented by Chris Reeve. Not necessarily in the 21 model, but in this lineage of knives, the 21 family of knives, I'll put it that way. So just a lot of things. And then this inscription here, 1, 2, 3, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. This, I constantly find myself trying to use logic, trying to think through things, trying to draw on past experiences, just really trying to ground myself and try to logically push through different situations. I won't even say necessarily problems, just situations. So that knife, it has a lot of uses. It has a lot of sentimental value, has a lot of value, and it's a knife that I've owned time and time and time again. This knife over here, man, I couldn't even tell you how many S&Gs I've owned. I've probably owned in the ballpark of 60 to 70 Striders, maybe more, over the course of me being in the Striders. This is the S&G that I have currently, that I've owned the longest. I actually got this way back. If some of you guys have been in this a long time, if you remember when Big J used to have a knife shop, I bought this. This actually was imported from Canada, from Big J. And if you don't know who Big J is, then, you know, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, this knife is on me anytime I'm doing any kind of work. It has totally redone an entire kitchen for my mother. I've put in hot water heaters. When I cut the grass, when I do anything outside, any type of work that I do, this knife is in my pocket. So this knife has just been a beater, just a workhorse. It's been there. It's served me. It's done everything I've needed it to do for probably, God, I couldn't even tell you, 8, 9, 10 years, a long time. It's never been in the Strider, never had any issues with it. It did have a very tough break-in process. This break-in was to the point where I almost just got rid of the knife and just went with something else. But which one of these knives, because these would be, in my opinion, the three either categories or the three specific knives that I would be carrying or using or want to carry or want to use on a daily basis. So even though this knife here does have a lot of the characteristics that I like, it's simple, it's a time-tested design, it's very old school. There are very few parts to this knife. It's not going to break. It's got that carbon steel. It has the clip point blade, the matte strike puller, so it's a little bit classier than your regular knife. I don't think this would be the knife that defined me. I just don't. I'm going to skip over here because honestly, I'll tell you from the beginning of this video, I already knew what knife defined me. But anyway, this knife here, just a workhorse. Just, if you need it done, this knife will do it. Even if it's not the best tool for the job, it will just plow through it and it'll get it done. Doesn't let you down. It's been serviceable for years and years and years and years and years. But it is a little more on the tool side of things. It is a little bit less refined. It's not necessarily the best tool for a lot of jobs, or should I say for every job, but it can be pressed into a lot of different roles. So again, even though I can relate to some of those characteristics, I'm gonna say that this is also not the knife that right now I would say defines me. This knife right here, as I said, it has a very long history. 30 plus years of history. If you go all the way back to the regular Sebenza, quote unquote regular, which was before the 21 and all of those things. And then, you know, I'm sure the CRK guys, they'll get down in the comments and they'll kind of fill in all the generations and gaps and all that stuff. You have small P, large P, no P, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not an old guy, but I'm not a young guy. I'm right in that middle ground. So I think that this, with the history that it has, with the length of time it's been around, with as proven as it is, I think, and I hope this video doesn't come off the wrong way, but we're talking about what knife I think defines me right now at this point in time. So I am going to have to talk about myself a little bit in this. This is just, it's been a dependable design. It set some trends. This was arguably the first quote unquote tactical knife, or you know, overbuilt hard use folder with that frame lock design. But I didn't talk about the age and the time length. Being that this has been around as long as it is, being that it is as proven as it is, like I said, I'm not a young guy, I'm not an old guy, I'm kind of there in the middle. I've done many things in my time in the community. I think that my character and my demeanor has proven itself over time. Kind of like this knife. This knife, even though it doesn't look like it's a tough knife, it is, you know, tough. I'm not going to say it's as tough or more tough, but these two can do equal jobs, equally reasonable jobs, you know, of one another, even though this one does not look like it could. I relate to that a lot. A lot of times, like I said, I work in an office, but I'll even do things like fix things, or I'll pull a tool out and work on something, or take the trash out, or you name it. And people are like, oh, you know, I didn't think you could do that, or why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing that, that kind of thing. Kind of like if you know Sabenza guys, they're real quick to tell you what you shouldn't be doing with your Sabenza, but it can do it, and I can do those things, and I do those things. This knife has also done a lot of those things for me, so I relate to that. Also, and again, like I said, I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but this is a more refined knife. They boast tolerances better than NASA's tolerances. This is just a highly refined design over time, and they've just slowly but surely chipped away at all the imperfections to try to make their best version of a knife. So I feel like I'm at that point in my life where I've acknowledged and recognized a lot of issues and flaws, and I've slowly but surely chipped away. And I may not be at this point of refinement, but I'm at the most refined point I've been in my life. So I relate with this knife in that regard as well. And again, that ties back into the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because these things take time to gain, and it takes time to realize that these things are important. So this would be the knife, I'm not going to keep rambling on, this would be the knife that I identify with at this very point in time, which is, I think it's August 17th, 2020, the fabled 2020. So that's where I stand right now, and these were the three knives that I chose to even consider. And like I said, I do share some characteristics with these knives. I do like these knives. These would be knives that I do use and carry. They would be runners up for this category, but I'm gonna have to go with the small 21 Insingo. I guess the last thing I can add is also the Insingo blade in particular, because I find this blade shape more versatile than a drop point blade. You've got the consistent belly for good slicing. You've got this kind of clip point, so you can really get up here on this tip and score boxes or whatever you need to do. It's got a false swedge that you can use to pop tape if you didn't want to use the edge of your knife. And that tip is very fine, unlike the drop point blade. So it's a very versatile blade shape, which I also identify with. Enough of me rambling. If you guys see fit to want to participate in this, please participate. Again, this is The Knife That Defines You by Profesor, EDC. That's Professor with one S. Go over, check his channel out. He's got some very unique styles that I enjoy watching his videos. Appreciate you all watching this video. Remember, a lazy man carries a dull knife. A lazy man carries a dull knife. Maybe I can get my own tagline right, guys. I'm not editing that out. A lazy man carries a dull knife.